Have you ever met someone who at first glance seemed perfectly reasonable, balanced, well-mannered, and even generous, but after interacting with them, you were left with an inexplicable sense of unease, as if behind their polite smile and confident gaze lies something deeper and more unsettling? What if the true danger in such people lies not in outbursts of anger or open aggression, but in something far more subtle, almost invisible at first glance? Carl Gustav Jung, one of the most influential psychiatrists of the 20th century, argued that there is a certain trait, often unnoticed and hidden behind a mask of confidence, that characterizes the most dangerous type of personality. This trait does not evoke immediate fear, like aggression, deceit, or physical threats. On the contrary, it may appear as calmness, charisma, and even friendliness. This is precisely why it can so easily go unnoticed until it's too late, and its destructive effects reveal themselves in full force. In this video, we will delve into Jung's profound psychological insights and explore why such personalities may pose the greatest danger to our inner world. We will examine how to recognize these hidden signs and how to protect ourselves from their subtle yet powerful influence. By the end of this video, you may start seeing the people around you in a whole new light, more clearly, deeply, and with greater caution. Understanding Jung's warning. To grasp Jung's warning, we must first understand his concept of the structure of the human mind. Jung believed that each of us wears a mask, a so-called persona, an external, socially acceptable facade that we present to the world. This persona acts as a filter through which our thoughts, feelings, and actions are adjusted to meet societal expectations. However, behind this smooth mask lies a far more complex and profound part of our psyche, the unconscious, a mysterious realm filled with repressed emotions, instincts, and universal archetypes. One of the most significant elements of this hidden world is what Jung called the shadow, a collection of all those aspects of our personality that we reject or suppress. Contrary to popular belief, the shadow is not just a set of negative traits. It includes everything we have, for various reasons, decided to hide from ourselves and others. These may be not only fears and aggression, but also hidden talents, strengths, or once vibrant dreams that we deemed unacceptable or undesirable. Jung emphasized that the shadow is not solely shaped by societal influence. It forms from the conflict between our inner self and the image we strive to project. From an early age, we are taught that certain qualities are worthy of approval, admiration, and love, while others are rejected and condemned. For example, independence may be seen as a sign of strong character, but in some families, it might be perceived as stubbornness. Aggressiveness may be crucial for survival, yet it is often suppressed in favor of obedience and tranquility. Thus, we instinctively begin to reject everything that does not align with our idealized self and bury these traits deep within. Yet the repressed does not disappear without a trace. It continues to exist, invisibly influencing our behavior, reactions, and decisions. This often manifests through projection, a mechanism by which we unconsciously attribute to others the very traits we deny in ourselves. For instance, a person who suppresses their envy may see it in every successful colleague or friend, unaware that the true source of this feeling lies within them. Jung warned that a repressed shadow eventually becomes a psychological time bomb. Its influence accumulates over time, emerging in sudden outbursts of anger, destructive actions, or abrupt personality shifts. The longer we reject our hidden aspects, the stronger their impact, and the harder they become to control. It is crucial to understand that the shadow is not inherently evil. Its power lies in its unconscious nature. It contains not only our fears and repressed emotions, but also our untapped potential, passion, energy, and courage. If these elements are integrated into the conscious self, they can become a source of significant personal growth and strength. However, if ignored, they will continue to negatively influence our behavior and perception of the world. The consequences of an unacknowledged shadow. Now, let's explore what happens when the shadow remains unconscious or fully suppressed, and the consequences this can have for ourselves and those around us. When a person consciously refuses to acknowledge their darker aspects and suppresses inner impulses, these elements of their personality do not vanish. Instead, they sink into the depths of the unconscious, where they continue to live and accumulate psychic energy, waiting for an opportunity to resurface. Jung cautioned, "What is unconscious will be lived as fate." This means that the deeper we bury our flaws, fears, and desires, the more forcefully they begin to shape our lives and relationships. Unlike many of his contemporaries, Jung did not view the unconscious as a passive repository of repressed feelings. He saw it as a dynamic force, capable of not only storing, but also transforming the rejected elements of our personality. These aspects do not remain inert. They mutate, intertwine with other inner conflicts, and seek expression through symbolic, often irrational forms. This is why repressed impulses may surface in disturbing dreams, obsessive thoughts, uncontrollable anger, or self-destructive patterns. The more deeply these traits are suppressed, the more dramatic their manifestations become. For example, a person suppressing their aggression may find themselves surrounded by conflict, as if reality itself is provoking them to anger. Someone stifling their independence or ambition may feel perpetually constrained, as though trapped by those around them. Jung believed that if these signals are ignored, the tension between the conscious self and the repressed unconscious will escalate, pushing a person toward an emotional crisis, or even a personal catastrophe. This often manifests in unexpected outbursts, sarcasm, passive-aggressive behavior, or manipulative tendencies, ways in which the shadow tries to break through. Such a person may appear calm, composed, and even kind on the surface, but their inner world tells a very different story. This disconnect between the outer mask and the inner reality creates a growing tension that must eventually find an outlet. When this tension reaches a critical point, it may erupt in impulsive actions, destructive decisions, or inexplicable emotional breakdowns. This dynamic becomes especially dangerous when paired with a deep-seated illusion of self-control. A person denying their shadow may believe they have full command over their emotions and actions, yet in reality, they become a prisoner of their repressed fears and desires, which gradually begin to dictate their thoughts, relationships, and life choices. The most dangerous personality. Type 1 of the most dangerous and insidious forms of self-deception, according to Jung, is the illusion of moral superiority, a state in which a person genuinely believes in their absolute virtue, spiritual supremacy, or flawless righteousness. Such an individual sees themselves as purely noble, just, and ethical, leaving no room for doubt in their own righteousness. This conviction creates a psychological armor that shields them from self-criticism and introspection, but at the same time makes them dangerous both to themselves and others. What makes moral superiority so treacherous is its complete resistance to self-reflection. People convinced of their own virtue often justify their behavior as selfless, even when it clearly harms others. For example, manipulation may be framed as guiding others to the right path. Control may be disguised as care and responsibility. Cruelty may be rationalized as tough love or necessary discipline. In such cases, the true motives remain hidden even from the individual themselves, as they sincerely believe they are acting for the greater good. They do not realize that behind their performative altruism and righteousness lies the shadow, the suppressed aspects of their own personality they are unwilling to acknowledge. Jung noted that the more tightly a person clings to their idealized self-image, the deeper they bury their darker sides. These unacknowledged traits do not disappear. They persist, distorting their perception of reality. One of the most common ways such individuals cope with inner tension is projection. By projecting their flaws onto others, they unconsciously absolve themselves of the need to recognize these traits within. For example, a person who considers themselves infinitely patient may accuse others of cruelty or indifference, when in fact they are the ones suppressing aggressive impulses. Someone who prides themselves on honesty may constantly suspect others of lying, unaware of their own hypocrisy. The paradox is that the more righteous a person believes themselves to be, the blinder they become to their own shortcomings. Their shadow grows, finding expression in subtle ways, sarcastic remarks, manipulative acts, or cold indifference masked as principle. And the more they reject their dark side, the more destructive its influence becomes. Jung warned that such inner blindness can turn a person into a hidden aggressor, even if they outwardly appear calm and virtuous. These individuals may seem like paragons of morality, but their unconscious motives gradually reveal themselves in toxic relationships, controlling behavior, and emotional abuse. The invisible thread. What connects this deep rejection of the shadow, the illusion of moral superiority, and the destructive influence of repressed aspects? Jung offered a disturbing answer, one that reveals the very core of human psychology. According to Jung, the most dangerous trait in a person is the complete lack of shadow awareness. This is a state in which an individual refuses to acknowledge their darker aspects, fully denying the possibility that they are capable of anger, cruelty, deceit, or manipulation. Such a person sincerely believes in their moral purity, unaware that this very delusion makes them unpredictable and ultimately dangerous. The problem is not the existence of the shadow itself, but its total denial. People who can honestly confront their flaws often prove more reliable and genuine, because they understand what they are capable of in moments of weakness or anger. They recognize their limitations and strive not to harm others, understanding the weight of their actions. But those convinced of their absolute virtue lack this self-awareness. They do not see their mistakes and tend to justify any behavior, no matter how destructive. Jung saw this not merely as a psychological issue, but as a form of spiritual blindness with devastating consequences. Such individuals can easily become sources of chaos and pain for those around them, often without realizing it. Their repressed traits continue to influence their behavior, emerging in unexpected ways, through sarcasm, covert aggression, or manipulation disguised as concern. If you encounter someone who confidently claims they are always kind, always fair, and always right, be cautious. They may not realize they are suppressing their true impulses, projecting them onto others instead. Their rigid belief in their own righteousness creates an illusion of stability, but in reality, they may be far more dangerous than those who acknowledge their flaws. So the next time you meet someone who insists they never get angry, never make mistakes, and always do the right thing, ask yourself one simple question. What are they not seeing in themselves? The answer may protect you from future harm, because the more a person denies their shadow, the more power it holds over their life.